Ladies and gentlemen, this is Diablo 3, and once again, I am KageKaze, here to give you a comprehensive guide to the Infernal Machine, what it takes to make it, and what it takes to make the ring that you can farm from the Infernal Machine. First and foremost, you're going to want to make sure you have monster power on. Now, you can farm these keys without monster power. If you were to have monster power off, then the Keywardens you kill have a 5% chance to drop the items that you need. Monster power 1 gives them a 10% chance to drop, and you get a 10% chance for every additional monster power all the way up to monster power 10, in which case every Keywarden you kill, or every Uber boss you kill, has a 100% chance to drop the items that you're looking for. You want to of course pick the monster power that you feel comfortable with. One that gives you enough of a chance to drop the items you want, and as well enough of a chance to survive. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Monster Power 5. The first Keywarden we're going after is in Act 1. He exists in the Fields of Misery. So you have to choose a quest after Reign of the Black King. If you do Shattered Crown, you're going to have to kill Leoric before you can get to him, which can be a little bit of a waste of time unless you're actively adding him into your farming procedures here. So Reign of the Black King and beyond, you can actually just, if you want to, pick the final quest. It doesn't matter because once you go to the final quest, everything from that point back is accessible. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Return to New Tristram and start. Now, while you may be in a hurry to go out and find your Keywarden, he is in the Fields of Misery. But what you're going to need to do first is get yourself 5 stacks of Nephilim Valor. Now, there are some elites here in the Fields of Misery, but some of the best spots to farm for elites and such are going to be in, for example, the Cemetery. Yes, the Cemetery of the Forsaken. This is one of the best places I find to get stacks of Nephilim Valor. One of the main reasons is because each one of these crypts typically has multiple elites in them. Not only that, but this is a guaranteed event spawn. You know that there will either be the Jar of Souls or the Matriarch's Bones inside one of these tombs. And that makes it very easy. Now, the best part is, if you get the Matriarch's Bones, then all you have to do is click on each of the urns quickly, and then click on the final resting place to complete it. You don't actually have to beat the boss, making it one of the easiest to get stacks of Nephilim Valor. And of course, any resplendent chests you find on the way will also give you stacks of Nephilim Valor. If you have your own personal farming routes that you find have a good chance of having elites or having resplendent chests and things like that, I'd recommend doing those. I just happen to prefer the Cemetery of the Forsaken. It's one of the areas that I originally liked from beta. It just happens to be a place I like to farm. By all means, you do not have to do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through, I'm going to get my 5 stacks, and I will go back to the Fields of Misery so that we can farm the Keywarden and try and get our key. Now here I am in the Fields of Misery, and one thing I neglected to mention earlier, I believe, is you don't have to get all 5 stacks before coming here. As you see, I still only have 4. But I knew that I would be running into an elite pack while farming here for the Keywarden. And I have already run into the Keywarden. So we're going to kill this pack to get the 5th stack. There we go. That's all we need. Now, you do not have to have this 5th stack before you encounter the Keywarden, or before you even hit him. The loot for the Keywarden is determined at death. So I can tag him, get him low on life, or anything like that prior to killing him. So let's go ahead and go back to the Fields of Misery. And he's right over here. Past the walking tree. Now this Keywarden can appear anywhere inside the Field of Misery. He just so happened to spawn over here for me. So you may have to look for him for a bit. You can see one of his abilities is a nice thrown spear that does have a knockback and slowdown. This is Odeg the Keywarden. He's a Khazra Brute. And as you see, he also has Molten. This is the first, probably the easiest of the Keywardens. Another ability he has, which he hasn't used just yet, there we go, is his triple fireball that he'll fire in a fan formation in front of him. So you can see he's not too bad. Even with his ranged fireball, he is pretty easy to predict that way. He can jail you in place, as you saw just there. So he does have some abilities, but nothing that can't be handled. The thing that makes Odeg a little more difficult at times can be the possibility of packs around him, as the giant beasts, which love to charge, can be a pain in the butt and can be really hard to deal with while you're trying to deal with Odeg and his abilities. Alright, let's just kind of clear the area. Now you may have noticed I did not get my key, even though it's on Monster Power 5, and I have a 50% chance. I've gone 7 times in a row without getting a key before. Unfortunately, it happens. It is the nature of the random generator. The item that you are actively looking for is the Key of Destruction. If it were to drop, which I can't, if it were to drop, you would see the column of light indicating a legendary, like you would from, say, dropping that right there. So that is the first of the 3 keys, and as you can see from my inventory, the keys are stackable. Once you have all 3 keys, you can make the machine, but before we worry about that, let's go over the other Keywardens, where they are, and what you might have to worry about when dealing with them. Now, the next Keywarden is in Act 2. And if you're noticing a pattern, yes, there's a Keywarden in every single act. This Keywarden will be in the Daggler Oasis. Again, I suggest picking a quest near the end. I will typically pick one in the Black Soulstone here. I like going into the Soulstone Chamber. That's simply because I can then, if I want to, after I get 5 stacks, add Zoltan Cool to my farming route in order to get some items. Now, it really doesn't matter how you want to farm for this particular Keywarden. However, because he's located in the Daggler Oasis, it's recommended that you probably go there and try and find him first, primarily because this is such a large zone. For example, let's go to the path. As you can see here, I've already done quite a bit of searching in this area. He can be anywhere inside of this zone. There are plenty of elites inside of this zone that you should be able to get a stack of 5 Nephilim Valor before you encounter him. And if you do encounter him before you reach 5 Nephilim Valor, you should be able to get away fairly easily and then go to another zone to farm, or simply go to another part of the Oasis before you encounter him. I'm going to go ahead and go here to the Daggler Oasis waypoint, as you can see just a bit north of where I was, and we're going to go find my Keywarden. Now this Keywarden is a whirling dervish, and has all the powers thereof, which means he's going to be a little bit dangerous for both melee and range. He's not terribly difficult, but what you do have to watch out for is his spinning capabilities. This is Sokar, the Keywarden, wielder of the Restless Wind. As you can see, he is equipped with the range dampening capability, so anything that you fire at him from a distance will be slowed. So you probably want to be using abilities that have a wider field of effect. If you're a demon hunter, this is the perfect time to break out the lightning ball elemental arrow ability. When you start spinning as a melee, if you don't have a lot of life regeneration, you're probably going to want to get out of it. If you have a lot of life on hit, though, you won't have to worry about it. When he spins as a range, though, keep in mind that that means he also reflects back projectiles. Sokar also fires off mortars when he spins, so that's something else to be aware of, as well as being lightning enchanted. But as you can see, he doesn't have a lot of health, so he's not too terribly hard to take down. Once you take him out, hopefully you get your key, which again I did not, and you're looking for your key of hate. Now the last key that you have to get, but not the last Keywarden that you have to kill, is here in Act 3. it's fairly early, so we can go up to here, kill Gom, and use that as our starting point. Now, the Keywarden is here in Stonefort, and he sometimes can even be as early as the very beginning where the waypoint is. So one of the things I recommend is going through the Keep Depths, level 3 and level 1. Each one of these contains anywhere from 1 to 3 elites by themselves. Level 3 will usually have an elite right here by the waypoint, making it very easy to farm. Just go ahead and pass by this guy and take a look. Usually he's right here in this area. It looks like we don't have him here right away, but there should be one coming up fairly soon. So you go through here, and you go through level 1, and each one of those areas has a fairly high concentration of monsters and elites. It honestly makes this one of the easiest keys to farm, because the amount of time you have to spend farming for Nephilim Valor stacks is not that bad. This is the same reason why a lot of people like to farm Act 3 for legendaries and rare items, is because the density of monsters is so high. It just makes it so quick to be able to get what you need. So you go through here, and again, you can get anywhere from, say, 3 to 4 stacks, and then go to Stonefort. Now, if the Keywarden is at the very beginning by the waypoint, it's very easy to retreat and to come back in. Or you can simply try to run past him. Now, the problem with running past this Keywarden is he does have a tendency to try and slow you down and try and hurt you as you're running. Thankfully, though, he has been recently hit with a nerf, and he's actually a lot easier than he used to be. I was kind of hoping he would be weakened at one point, but it's a bit much now, but you'll see when we get to him. So let me continue to get my stacks of Nephilim Valor, and then I'll show you what you need to do on the Keywarden. Now, when you're out here in the Stonefort looking for the Keywarden, he can appear at any point, all the way from the beginning to all the way at the end and anywhere in between. And one place you're going to want to remember to look too is here on the map, this part that goes up and around, which is normally a dead end. Occasionally, the Keywarden can appear up here. So this time, thankfully it looks like he wasn't. But you're going to want to check that, because sometimes you can go all the way through and not realize that that's where he was. That is the one location that can be a little bit tricky at times if you forget about it. Other than that, Stonefort's fairly linear, and it's really not that hard to go about finding a creature that you're looking for. Hardest part is navigating through all the monsters that are in your path. We're just going to go ahead and go through them real fast and try and find our Keywarden. And you see, since we chose a quest further on, we don't have to worry about doing any of these catapults or having them stop and beg us to help them. No, we're not concerned about the citizens. We're concerned about keys and uber loots. And there he is, Zarith, the Keywarden. He is the tormentor of the damned. And for a long time he was the tormentor of many players, whether or not they were hunting for keys, because Keywardens can appear at any time, any monster power, and I do believe even on any difficulty. At this point, one of the hard parts about him is all the packs that are around him, because there is a high density. So that is a good thing and a bad thing. One, it helps you get to your stacks easier, but unfortunately it also means you're going to have to deal with these packs while you're fighting him. Now, as you see, what he has is a kind of a frost rain with corpses. He rains down frozen corpses, those explode, do AoE damage, and then they slow you down. This was one of the big things that made Zarith a challenge, and still does, but he doesn't slow you down near as much. The two things they took away from him were his ability to become an illusionist and his fast affix. He was so quick and he had so many illusions spawning so many corpse rains on you that he was extremely difficult to take down, even in a full group. Everyone, taking shots at him Arguably, that almost made him a little bit harder because of how much more damage and hit points he would get from it. But now he's not that hard. Take him out. And there you go. You get your Key of Terror. I now have all 3 keys, so all we need to do now is get the pattern that we need to create the Infernal Machine. That means we have to kill one more Keywarden. This one is the hardest Keywarden so far. He was second to Zareth before his nerf, in my opinion, but he still hits fairly hard. And thankfully, you only have to get the pattern from him once. You're going to want to pick the last quest. It's just going to make it easy to farm him. And I'll show you why. You're going to want to farm for him here in the Pinnacle of Heaven. Because from here, it's real easy to go to this waypoint into the Silver Spire, level 2. Now, this Keywarden appears on Silver Spire level 1. The thing is about Act 4 is that there is a very low density of elite monsters, and I've actually run into problems trying to maintain a 5-stack and then get to the Keywarden by going straight through the normal way. So I recommend doing it this way, going from the Pinnacle of Heaven back to the Silver Spire level 2, and then to Silver Spire level 1.
You never cease to inspire me.
I do not know about that.
But another we can do.
Now, as you're doing this, you're going to see the ghosts of people that have died from all this terror and destruction. The truth is, you don't actually have to click on them to progress. You can skip them. So if you see them, don't click on them. Just pass them. If you click on them, then a monster is going to appear, an elite, that, you know, may not be terribly hard for you based on your character or gear level. But it's an unnecessary fight, as the monsters, while though they appear elite, do not grant you any Nephilim Valor. So you're going to want to fight through here looking for the regular monsters, and get your stack of 5. You should be able to get your stack of 5 before you run into the Keywarden, but if not, you're going to have to run. The Keywarden is fairly quick, so you'll have to be careful about that. So I'm going to go ahead and work on my stack of 5, and I'll meet you at the Keywarden. Alright, so even after clearing Silver Spire levels 1 and 2, I ended up short by 1 stack on my Nephilim Valor. So, I went back and farmed some of the earlier areas, and it was not easy to find a pack when I needed it. So, here's a few things that might help you as you're going to farm for stacks if you get low elite density, kind of like I am. You want to try and avoid unnecessary fights if possible. Now, you have to be careful with that, because if you avoid too much and then the monsters build up, they may eventually just overwhelm you and take you out. You have to be able to avoid them and, of course, try and get them to stop following you. Some things you can do, for example, would be for Witch Doctor using Spirit Walk. As a Barbarian, I use Furious Charge and Leap. Demon Hunters can use Smoke Screen and Vault, usually. Monks, perfect time for pulling out your Tempest Rush. Wizards, of course, have their Teleport. There's all sorts of ways you can get around it. Because if you spend too much time just fighting these things, you're going to find that the time remaining on your Nephilim Valor might start to tick away. But I've got enough now, and now I can fight Nekarot the Keywarden of Seething Chaos. Now this guy might take me a few tries on Monster Power 5. His damage output, as far as I can tell, is second to none as far as Keywardens are concerned. Now what you just saw there is something that's probably going to kill me, yes. He pulled out an AoE fire effect that he uses. It is his most damaging ability. I have not found a way to mitigate the damage enough to survive, at least not on my own, and especially not without health globes involved. Now, again, the beautiful thing about this Keywarden is you only have to really get the item from him once. Unlike the other Keywardens, you're going to have to farm those a few times. But this guy, he drops blacksmithing plans for the Infernal Machine. So, once you get the plans from him, you never have to come back and fight him again. Unlike the other Keywardens, because if you want to farm more Infernal Machines, you have to beat the other Keywardens and get all their keys again. Oh, there's a fire again, and he's taking me out. But thanks to patch 105, as you can see, he's still taking damage from my bleed. But thanks to 105, he loses his health, and I didn't mean to start that, but that's okay. He loses his health and doesn't regenerate it. This is a wonderful feature because if he were to regenerate, I would have to bring things down considerably in order to farm this. Now that's another tip that you can keep in mind. If you find that this guy is maybe just a little bit too tough, his damage is a little too high, and you just can't kill him even without regenerating health... Oh jeez, he did it again. What you can do is bring the monster power down. I've got it on 5. I feel relatively comfortable, and I don't mind all the deaths. I've actually already killed him once, so I probably could have brought it down for the sake of this video. But each monster power that you bring it down, remember that's a loss of 10% in farming, or in chance that he'll drop that item. But it can help you in your farming because killing him faster can sometimes be better than a higher chance of the item dropping. Simply because if you kill him more often, and you have more chances to attack him... Yeah, he's going to just keep doing that, isn't he? But if you have a chance to kill him more often, even with a lower chance, you might find that you have a quicker time finding the blacksmithing plans that you need. Simply because spending, say, half an hour just trying to kill him with 50% chance, and he doesn't drop it, then you might find it's easier to kill him 5 times in 10 minutes at Monster Power 1, for example. So you have more chances to find it rather than a higher chance each time. Now some of the abilities you can see that Necrot has is he has a Tempest Rush type ability where he rushes forward with shadows, and he has that AoE fire effect, and he's just plain nasty. But, with luck, you might get your plans for the Infernal Machine.
So many have perished.
Well, now that you've got your blacksmithing plans, all you need to do is go up to Hadrig, talk to him so that you're in the crafting menu, and then right-click on the plans in order to add it to Hadrig's repertoire of items he can make. You have to go into your Weapons tab, scroll down a bit, and you'll see it there, the Infernal Machine, requiring 1 of each key, as well as a small amount of gold. Just click Craft, he'll make you an Infernal Machine and you're good to go. Now all you have to do is go back to the last quest in Act 1, and you can start opening portals to the demonic realms. I'll be covering those realms as well as the bosses in the next video.